Now let's get into this Matrix business. It seems that a lot of males out there are practically obsessed with this film, and I can understand why. I can relate to it. It offers a way of expunging some of their frustrations, of putting imagery to their thoughts and releasing them. But the message of the Matrix, of course, is a return back to the same premises they think uh, they've escaped from. I mean, how do you know you're out of the Matrix? And the part that supposedly you're freed into is not part of the Matrix itself. Another part. Let's take the movie itself. Sure, it offers some ideas that stimulate the above average mind. The idea that we're all part of this artificiality, social constructs, that we're special within the herd. But why does the film then lead back to the same morals? And why is the underlying message here the same principles, which the mind watching it thinks it is trying to escape from? I mean, this goes back to all Hollywood productions. If we go to the movie Shawshank Redemption, we see that the ending has been altered to give it a positive spin for the mass audience. And if we look at Silence of the Lambs, the trilogy, there too, aspects of the movie do not comply with the author's intent, Harrison's intent. And the ending is pretty much contrary to Harrison's work. In The Matrix, we see this infusion of the movie with Judeo-Christian imagery. At the end, of course, the most obvious one is when Neo is carried out by the robots in this crucifix position. He's the Neo in the sense that he's the newest Jesus Christ, the one that sacrifices himself for the redemption of mankind. So you see how the message remains the same. It remains biblical. It remains Judeo-Christian. But you can see this throughout the movie. For instance, I'll give you an example of this. Why do the ones who are freed, in whatever method or means are used to free them, why are they compelled to risk this freedom, to expose themselves to the machinery, to the robots, so as to save mankind? This is a moralistic choice. A moralistic choice no sane man of any intellectual value would make. It presupposes the idea of humanity, that we are all one, and that redemption will come to all of us as one instead of as individuals. So we see here how in the West this idea of individuality is really a farce. Many in the West, particularly in the US, they speak of individuality when in fact they are herds. They are part of a herd. They think that being individual means choosing between products, consuming products. They don't even question why they have to choose between this and that product, or why they even need that product. They just think that they're free just because they have that choice. And this is where the delusion comes in, the delusion of freedom and of free will and of free choice. So in the movie, The Matrix, the favorite amongst nerds and geeks and dweebs, or whatever you want to call them, the idea that the ideas which are thought to be revolutionary, uh, above the average mind's capacity to comprehend, are dealt with. They are addressed. The mind goes into it and sees all this imagery expressing all these ideas, and it feels a sense of relief that there's somebody out there like them. And yet, as the movie progresses, it leads you back to the very premises which you think you are free from. The idea that you must sacrifice yourself to this concept of humanity, that you and them, these sleeping ones, are one and the same, and that although they're asleep, they also deserve to be awake. The idea that freedom means a sacrifice to this concept. This is a very Christian moral message. I would think that a rational man, having found himself awakened to a reality which only a few can see, having seen the mechanisms, the artificiality of the world around him, the human world around him, how unnatural it is, how nihilistic it is, how it is supported by all these mechanisms, how most of the people around them are asleep, metaphorically and literally speaking, would choose to have them remain that way. For this offers him an advantage, him being the awakened one. Why would he risk or do away or throw away this advantage by making everybody again uniformly awake? This is a Marxist conception, this uniformity, and of course Marxism is a continuation of Judeo-Christianity. The same morals are presented and proposed. Only one is within the context of a deity, and the other one is within the context of an ideal. The God becomes an ideal. It's brought down to earth. It is meant to seduce the above average mind, whereas the religious, the Judeo-Christian part, the previous part, was meant for the more illiterate, dumb, simpleton of the past. More sophisticated minds require more sophisticated means of control. So the same message has been secularized. God has become an ideal, and all must adhere and sacrifice and surrender to this ideal. What is most comical about these newly awakened free men who are dropping out and rejecting women and turning their backs on women is that they think this is something that is vindictive, that they're avenging themselves upon, in effect, nature, which has excluded them, or society, when in fact they continue to pay their taxes and adhere to the work code. And so the cost is really minimal and non-effective. In fact, the system benefits from it. By excluding themselves, they simply make the systems work easier. I think most males fail to understand that all of this is really a product of male-on-male competition. Women are just the means to an end, or the method by which this competition, through them, this competition takes place. Female is just a means to an end. They have always been this, and they always will be. Focusing on them is focusing on the tip of the sword without seeing who is yielding it. In fact, all this technology, all these ideas, all these methods are masculine products. They're the product of male on male competition. One male trying to gain an advantage over another male, or groups of males, tribes, cultures trying to gain an advantage over other males. And of course, females being the avenue through which these males can propagate their memes and their genes, become very crucial to them. They become very important. So that's why this is really a battle over who controls the most females, or the best quality females. It's always been like this, and it always will be this. So you dropping out, or those guys out there who want to drop out, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because you're just casualties to this war. This war doesn't have blood and guts necessarily. It could just have numbness as part of it. Nihilism is a form of death also. You dropping out really serves the purposes of those males who want you to drop out. He who controls female choice, or the standard by which a female chooses her mate, or who to mate with, controls the destiny of man. And that is the level on which this war is fought on.